Now we're going to move over from Wisconsin, coming back home to the city of Chicago to talk about the Bears. And
a real team.
Basically, why
a team that kind of, sort of, maybe has a winning culture. If you go back really far.
If you go back to about 1 year in 1985.
Hey,
right?
no. The Chicago Bears have a shit ton of championships. Just happens that we don't care about anything that's not a Super Bowl. They won a shit ton of championships before the Super Bowl existed.
Before it was the NFL.
Yeah.
Back when we had the Chicago Bears and the Chicago Cardinals.
Well, I mean, even with the Chicago Cardinals being gone, the Bears, I might be wrong in this, and someone can fact check me, but I'm pretty sure the Bears have the most NFL championships, or one of the most, not the most, but one of the most NFL championships.
Let's put it this way. They have a storied history.
Partially because they were there from day one.
Yeah.
So that certainly helps.
But the reason why that's
a winning culture.
The reason why this topic was brought up was Mark, who's sitting across the table from me, texted our MVP kind of text group that has all 6 of us in it, and he brought up this article by Steve Rosenblum of the Chicago Tribune, and the headline just says the most aggravating thing about this Bears season. And Steve goes ahead or Mr. Rosenblum, I guess I should call him, he goes ahead and rants and raves about this season and how bad it is. And basically it comes down to get John Fox the fuck out of here, get Ryan Pace the fuck out of here, hit the reset button, let's go factory reset mode. And me as a Vikings fan, Mark, I'm going to let the Bear fan talk in a second, but me as the Viking fan, I kind of sit here and go, maybe you guys are overreacting a little bit with this fire John Fox, fire Ryan Pace talk. Am I wrong? Am I wrong? Like, as a Bears fan, do you feel the same thing?
Here's the issue that I have is that people want to, and by the way, I did check it. It didn't support my argument that much. The Chicago Bears with 9 championships, the second most championships in history of teams that are currently in the NFL.
Steelers have the most?
No.
Cowboys?
Nope. Another team with a winning history.
Packers?
The Green Bay Packers with 13. So that didn't really help. Didn't really make me feel any better.
But talking about the Bears.
So, yeah, it's my whole thing with this is we're saying the Bears are currently a bad team. The Bears have been set up to be a bad team, and it didn't magically fix with these new people. Mm-hmm. And we're saying that, hey, we just had this totally unstable time, and it led to a lot of bad things going on with the team and a bad team in general. So let's destabilize the team again and then hope that something different happens. I said it last week, Ricky. The definition of insanity is trying the same thing over and over again and expecting different results.
Look at Cleveland.
Yes. When you just do the same shit, when you're just constantly firing people and getting new directions, it just doesn't work. Mm-hmm. If you got one cook who's cooking a dish, and then you get rid of him, bring in another cook, don't tell him what the previous plan was and say, all right, have fun cooking. He's going to say, what the fuck is this? I don't know what you guys were trying to do. What are these ingredients that I have? These aren't the ingredients that I would use. It doesn't work. If we were to fire John Fox now, if we were to fire Ryan Pace, then we're the team that has currently gone through 3 head coaches and 3 GMs in the past 6 years. That's an issue. You can't be that team. You don't want to be the Cleveland Browns. It's just... let these guys do what they want to do. The NFL is such an instant gratification league now that somebody who doesn't perform well their first, their second year, you want to chud their ass and get them out of there, fire them right off the bat.
Not crown their ass. You want to chud their ass.
Exactly. You want to get them out of there and get somebody else in there and just hope that they, magically become awesome out of nowhere. That's not how it works, unfortunately. You can't just put in a rookie, Russell Wilson. Well, I'm saying a rookie, it was his second year, Pete Carroll, and a rookie Russell Wilson, and suddenly have a great team. It doesn't work like that for most people. You have to let them build a little bit. Let Ryan Pace use his plan, and if 3 years or 4 years the GM's plan's not working, sure, let's get rid of him. Mm-hmm. Let's take a new path. For the head coach gets a little less leeway, but you brought in John Fox, you brought in Vic Fangio because they are successful coaches with experience. They have a lot of experience. The Chicago Bears wanted coaches that had experience and winning experience. So to say, this team is bad, we know the team is bad, but it's not really getting any better, so bye. No, we know that this team is in full tank mode. What I really wish would happen is that someone would just come out and admit, hey, this team is bad. We are in a 100% rebuild. This is what happens in a rebuild. We have been rebuilding the defense. And the defense is doing decently, not great, but decently. Injuries certainly didn't help. Let's rebuild this offense next. That's the next part, and we can start to have a good team in a year or two. You just can't expect it overnight. And injuries certainly are a problem. Somebody needs to get fired when it comes to strength and conditioning, but that's a whole different story.
Well, and my whole thing with this is when it comes to just Ryan Pace and John Fox, because those were the two big ones that Rosenblum talked about in his article, which I will put down below for you guys so you guys can read it if you guys haven't looked at the description yet for this podcast. With Ryan Pace, I kind of like I agree with what Mike Rankin said today in our group text of Ryan Pace gets a little bit more. I agree with Rankin, 4 years. Give him 4 years. It's kind of like a head coach in college football. College football, you give them 4 years because when they come in that first year, those kids that they're recruiting, hopefully those kids become the seniors. Those kids are becoming the seniors by the 4th year. So you get a sense of, okay, this is what his team is going to be. This is what this head coach.
Yeah, so what's going to look like in the future.
You're not winning with someone else's product. With the head coach, the only thing I have that is kind of criticizing, you can correct me if I'm wrong, John Fox was here before Ryan Pace came in, correct? Or did they come in at the same time?
That was wrong.
They came in at the same time?
Ryan Pace got John Fox.
Okay, Ryan Pace did get John Fox. So originally I was going to say you don't have your guy, but that's not the case because Ryan Pace went ahead and got John Fox. With that being the case, maybe give John Fox one more year. Give him, and I'm not saying next year's got to do something or he's fired, but give him a 3rd year because the big thing that John Fox, and this analogy will fit for John Fox inherited a quarterback. He inherited Jay Cutler, and I don't care what you say, Jay Cutler is a decent quarterback. He is the way I put Jay Cutler is if you're looking at it where, hey, at least we have a starting quarterback, then fine, you're happy with Jay Cutler. But if you're looking for a guy to be the guy to lead your team to Super Bowls and be that champion, you're not happy with Jay Cutler. And John Fox inherited him. Let John Fox get a year with the guy that he wants to bring in either through free agency, because you're going to have some guys like a Kirk Cousins, or through the draft. Let him get his guy.
Yeah.
That's the thing with the Bears.
And I think the quarterback situation is a great one because you look at the quarterbacks that are out there and sure, they went and they grabbed Matt Barkley to stash him on the practice squad or let him be a 3rd-string quarterback, and they went and they got Brian Hoyer because they thought that he'd be good to come in a game if they needed him, and unfortunately they needed him a lot more than just a game. But none of these choices have really been a John Fox this is the guy. This is where I want to go. So you got to let him kind of have that guy to fit his system because right now I constantly complain about how conservative the team is, and that's just John Fox's style. And it works when John Fox has his team. When he's got guys he's happy with, it works out very well. The problem is that right now, like I said, it's just not working because you got a guy like Alshon Jeffrey, who they are happy with, that they inherited.
Who will probably leave at the end of the year.
And there's a great chance that that's going to happen. But then you got a guy like Kevin White, who's constantly getting hurt.
Big bust right now.
Looking like it's probably
I'm saying right now,
a bit of a mistake if the injuries continue to be a problem. But at the same time, then you have a guy who's an absolute hit like Jordan Howard, Jeremy Langford. Those guys are doing great. Those were, you're happy with those. You're not going to win on every single draft pick, obviously. And when you look at
but the drafts have been a problem.
Well, but that's not Ryan Pace's problem because it's Jerry Angelo and then Phil Emery.
And that's the thing.
That was the issue.
And that's the thing I kind of want to bring up because while you were talking, I'll be honest, I was doing a little bit of research. I started with the 2004 draft. So basically when Lovey came in, and I went all the way to 2014, the last draft class before Ryan Pace. You have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those draft classes where I think you didn't necessarily whiff on your pick, but looking at hindsight, you should have taken somebody else who would have been a little bit better. And
of course, hindsight's 2020. But yeah,
can I run some of these? And of course, like you said, hindsight is 2020. But let's look back at some of these. Do you mind? 2005. Who do you guys know who you took at?
Just read them. Don't play that game.
Cedric Benson. Some of the guys, and this is some of the ones that went immediately after Cedric Benson: Adam Pac-Man Jones, Antrell Roll, Carlos Rogers.
To be fair,
DeMarcus Ware,
Antrell Roll did play for the Bears at one point in time. It just happened to be like last year.
Sean Merriman, who is a Twitter follower of Most Valuable Podcast. Hey,
right.
Sean. Jamal Brown, Thomas Davis, and Derek Johnson, just to name a few. Those guys all went within the top 15. 2006, you guys went ahead and took with your first-round pick. You didn't have a first-round pick, but with your second-round pick, you took Danielle Manning. Guess who went right after Danielle Manning?
Who?
Roman Harper.
Nice.
A Pro Bowler. However, you did get a Pro Bowler with the 57th pick in Devin Hester.
Of course.
So maybe you kind of outweighed
Those were the
yourself
glory
there.
days.
Your first pick in 2008, you went ahead and took Chris Williams, offensive tackle, Vanderbilt.
Don't regret it for a second, do we, Bears fans?
Guess who went immediately after him, who was an offensive tackle? Oh, wait, that's right. Kansas Chiefs' Brandon Alberts. Who went right after him? Just a cornerback called Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie. Some of the things you're whiffing on, and that's the thing with the Bears. Usually it's the pick that is right immediately after you guys. Here's another one. No, that was the 4th round, so that wasn't right. But your first pick in 2008, Major Wright, 3rd round. Who was the next Pro Bowler? Emmanuel Sanders by the Pittsburgh Steelers.
To be fair, Major Wright was pretty good in Chicago.
He
with
was
Lovie
decent,
Smith.
but yet again, we said hindsight's what?
Yeah, 2020. But the thing that I want to mention with that, though, is you can play that game with almost any team, and you're going to see that.
But like this one, the 2011 draft class, Gabe Karimi, 29th overall. Who went right after him? Muhammad Wilkerson.
Yeah.
You also had Andy Dalton. You could have had Andy Dalton, too, on your team.
Man,
however, you
Dalton.
don't know what that... I know Mark is kind of like a...
There was no A.J. Green on the Chicago Bears.
You took Shea McClellan in 2012. The next defensive end off the board, 2 picks later, Chandler Jones, Pro Bowler.
Basically what Ricky's doing right now, for anybody at home who's wondering, he is explaining why the Bears have fired their last 2 GMs.
And then the last one, 2014, you took Kyle Fuller with the 14th pick when you could have taken, I would have taken Ryan Shazier, even though he hasn't made a Pro Bowl yet. He went right after. Zach Martin, C.J. Mosley, those two have been Pro Bowlers. Really, Zach Martin, you could have shirt up that offensive line for Jay Cutler.
It's a lot of things you could have done. All that sounds great, but you're just explaining why the Bears got rid of their past GMs.
No, and
it was a situation where Jerry Angelo was around for too long.
And that's my point. Ryan Pace has only been around for 2 years, and I think another thing that's leading into it is you go ahead, you trade up for Leonard Floyd,
Yeah.
and Floyd hasn't performed well. Well, really, it's one of those things where we hyped him up too much when really, do pass rushers really come into the league, and unless they're generational talents, do they hit it right off the bat their first year? Or
Definitely,
does it take them a couple years?
Exactly, and I think that's the big problem with the instant gratification is that everybody wants everything to immediately be great. And we joked about it on this podcast plenty of times. That second year, John Fox goes to the Super Bowl. It's just one of those things where you need to let this team build. We knew that this team was not the Carolina Panthers. We knew this team was not the Denver Broncos that John Fox in the past had inherited. So we knew this team had more work to it. We got to let the guy do it. And we got to see how things pan out. Because, yes, we can say Kevin White currently, at this moment right now, looks like a bust. But you can't say that about a guy until we're about 3, 4, 5 years out of the draft. You got to see a little bit more out of them. Sometimes people just take a little bit to bloom. You're thrilled with Sam Bradford as your quarterback. How long did it take him?
I am.
Exactly. How long did it take him to be in a situation where it worked out?
He didn't play week 1 because he had to learn the playbook.
Well, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about his career.
Oh, yeah.
How long did it take him to get into the right situation?
He was on a shitty Rams team, and then he went to a shitty
and he got injured
team.
quite a bit.
Yeah.
So sometimes it takes a little bit to just get into the right situation.
And now he's
and
learning,
if you
like,
start
hey,
to build a team.
Hey, if I had a little bit of fucking protection in St. Louis, maybe I wouldn't have gotten injured.
If you start to build a team, maybe a guy like Leonard Floyd's going to look great because he's got a actual supporting cast.
And I want to bring in the Vikings a little bit to this.
Of course you do.
And one thing that Bears fans might look at is they may compare themselves to us a little bit because
We wouldn't do that.
Well, right now, Mike Zimmer's a guy where came in 2014, 7-9 season, third in the North. Then his second year, boom, 11-5 wins the division. Then right now, third year, 5-0. And like, I wouldn't be surprised if there were some Bear fans that looked at that and went, "Why? What the fuck? Why can't what's going on? Why can't that be us? We were 6-10 in John Fox's first year. We should be running for a divisional title right now." However, the situations that are different. Yes, Mike Zimmer came in and didn't have too hot of a year, but he had Adrian Peterson. Adrian Peterson was on this team. I know. I want to say 2014 was the year that. Was it 14 or 15? Adrian Peterson didn't play anyways because he hit his kid. But you had that draft class is different. You had Adrian Peterson. We had Teddy Bridgewater that we went ahead and drafted. We had guys. There was the draft class with Rhodes, Floyd, and crap, I can't even remember the third one, and I'm blanking.
You get a lot of draft picks.
Danielle Hunter, maybe I can't.
And
remember
there's plenty
the third
of
one.
years for the Vikings where they were a bad team who had high draft picks. Sometimes you need it.
And we were aggressive and traded with the Seahawks even just to get Teddy Bridgewater, who
But
we
even
thought
so,
would
I
be
mean,
the guy for
there
our
were
future.
plenty of years where the Vikings had really high picks and had a lot of draft picks. That helps.
But that's what I'm saying. Like Ryan Pace is starting to do that. Give him some time.
Yeah.
We saw last year that aggressiveness of. I mean, it wasn't a super aggressive move, but it was, hey, let's trade up. Let's get the guy we want.
This is the guy I want. I'm going to go get him. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what it comes down to for this article, and Bears fans are getting anxious, you just got to relax a little bit.
Okay, Aaron Rodgers.
You just got to relax. That's really what it comes down to.
Good thing you didn't spell the word for him, though,
right?
Like A-Rod did.
You just need to calm down. You need to sit here and accept the fact that the team is bad.
You know what I think?
And let the team rebuild.
You know what's another problem? How bad this Bears team was. I think another thing is how bad this Bears team was in the 90s when we were growing up.
Yeah.
And the thing is, the Bears. What's the one thing through your childhood? I know you're a year young. We're a year apart.
Yeah.
What was the one thing through our childhood? I'll say our childhood because it's basically the same that the Bears never had in the 90s.
Quarterback.
A quarterback. Well, now you have Jay Cutler. And like I said, it's a guy where it's like, oh, we got a starter. We're happy with the starting quarterback.
It's better than anything we've had.
Where fans are probably like, why aren't we doing good? Why aren't we doing good? We got a quarterback. We got a quarterback. We got a quarterback. Why aren't we doing good? We're supposed to be doing good. We have a quarterback. And we're not doing good.
Doing well.
Doing well. Fine. Grammar Nazi.
You said it
over
way
there.
too many times for me to let it go.
I mean, there were flashes with Jay Cutler. The NFC Championship game. They did get to the playoffs a couple times. But now it's one of those things where I think Ryan Pace is fine. You got to give him at least 2 more years, see what draft class he can do. Give John Fox 1 more year. Jay Cutler's got to go. Get your own quarterback. Let John Fox and Ryan Pace find their guy. Because Jay Cutler was not their guy.
Well, no, he definitely wasn't their guy. He was the guy from 2 eras ago of GM, not to mention the amount of offensive coordinators and stuff like that go around.
Oh, and you want to know something funny? I totally forgot that Emmanuel Sanders pick that you remember that pick that I told you?
Yep.
That should have been the Bears. You want to know how the Steelers got it?
Because of Jay Cutler.
Jay Cutler trade.
Yeah. So the thing though to think about here is, you're saying that it's time for Jay Cutler to go, and I agree with you on that, but at the same time, 33-year-old quarterback. Let's not get too excited. We know it's time for Jay Cutler to go. We know we're done with Jay Cutler.
But
we know we're looking at the future.
You kind of hung on to him a little bit longer than you should have.
I don't think we necessarily hung on to him longer than we should have. I don't necessarily think the Bears ever would have been in a position to get a better option, is always what it came down to. And unless the team wanted to admit that we were bad and go ahead and just get a shitty quarterback and tank, it was never going to happen. We were never going to make this work. So I've been saying it jokingly, but I kind of mean it, is we won a game. We don't need to win anymore. We're already not going to be 0-16. That's all that matters. Let's get that number 1 draft pick. Let's fucking take anybody we want. Let's go get the guy.
And the funny thing, I fucked up. It wasn't the Emmanuel Sanders. It was the Steelers. That's what I was thinking. Here's how the Jay Cutler thing went down in hindsight. Basically, if we look at it from a player standpoint, because the Broncos traded 2 of the picks away, you basically traded Robert Ayers to the Broncos for Jay Cutler. Who did the Broncos then give to other teams? Mike Wallace went to the Steelers because he got drafted by them, and Anthony Davis got drafted by the 49ers. In 2009 and 2010, who were the guys drafted immediately after the Bears picks, the two first rounders and the Jay Cutler deal? Jeremy Maclin and Ryan Matthews.
Some good stuff.
So you guys could have had them, but then who's your quarterback?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. Because you have all these weapons, but the Bears still would not have had a quarterback to throw the ball to him.
But you could have drafted a quarterback later. Maybe things would have been totally different.
I don't know.
We don't know how it would have played out.
How many of those late round quarterbacks were anybody that worthwhile?
I'm not saying that year.
We can't play the game.
I'm saying like in maybe a different year you go after quarterback, and like I said, there's so many loopholes. We're gonna leave that though for Dave Demashek in the NFL.com where he does that NFL stuff.
Yeah. So it's just, when it comes down to it, people calm down. It's a long season. Put up with it. Just if you really don't want it, then cancel your Game Pass or whatever. If you're a Bears fan and you're really sick of it, go do something else with your Sunday. There's plenty of other games you can watch if you're really that unhappy.
You can watch the Vikings. They're usually wins.
You probably don't want to do that, though.
They're usually wins. So,
probably don't want to put yourself through that.
It's a good feeling inside Skull. But is there anything else that we missed that we have to add on this Bears talk?
Chill the fuck out.
We're going to put that on his shirt. Mark Weber. Bears fans, semicolon. Chill the fuck out.
You got to throw that semicolon in
there. Is it a semicolon or a colon? Did I say that right?
You wanted a colon, but you always say semicolon when you mean a colon.
You guys know what I meant, but that's going to do it. Let us know down below what you guys think about anything we talked about today. Big Ben and the Steelers, the Green Bay Packers, and then the Bears and their woes. What's going on in Chicago? Let us know down below.
Also, Dak Prescott should start for the Cowboys. It's been said.
If you guys want to hear us talk about if Tony Romo should be traded, let us know down below.
Because you guys almost got to do yet another conversation about it.
Yeah, we almost did that today, so let us know if we should do that next week. You can follow us on Twitter. Those are in the description. Go check out our Patreon page, patreon.com/mostvaluablepod. We just put out we backload 3 Patreon podcasts, August, September, and October, and we're going to have a new November one of 2. Can I tell them about the little game we played?
The little extra, sure.
We played Cards Against Humanity, so that's going to be a good one. So go check out patreon.com/mostvaluablepod to check out some cool rewards to help support the channel more than you guys already do. I want to thank you guys for listening to this podcast. We will see you guys next week. But as always, have a good day, everybody.
Thank you for listening to this MVP podcast. Follow us on Twitter @MostValuablePod for more great podcasts.